Hello viewers, welcome to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. Here is another highly informative video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Thailand's top import and exports. Keep watching, we got it all covered. Thailand is the 22nd largest export economy in the world. It enjoys a positive trade balance of $34.3 billion after deducting its annual import total of $227 billion from the $262 billion achieved in export sales. The GDP of Thailand is calculated as $505 billion, which results in a GDP per capita of $7,274. This video provides an overview of Thailand's economy, including the country's primary imports and exports. If you're new to the Big Man Business YouTube channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on new business expert videos. For more international business news and updates, please visit www.bigmanbusiness.com. Thailand's top trading partners. In 2020, the Kingdom of Thailand shipped $229.2 billion in goods around the world. This figure represents a 7.3% increase since 2016, but a -6.6% decrease from 2019 to 2020. This dollar figure represents roughly 1.2% of total global exports, which were estimated at $18.709 trillion in 2019. Using a continental perspective, 61.6% of Thailand's exports were delivered to other Asian countries, while 16.6% were sold to North American importers. Thailand exported 12.7% more goods to Europe. Oceania, led by Australia and New Zealand with 4.9%, Africa with 2.4%, and Latin America excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean received smaller percentages of 1.6%. Here is a list of 15 of Thailand's top trading partners, countries that imported the most Thai shipments in terms of dollar value in 2020. The percentage of total Thai exports for each import country is also shown. The United States with $34.1 billion account for 14.9% of total Thai exports. $29.5 billion from China at 12.9%. Japan with $22.7 billion at 9.9%. $11.2 billion from in Hong Kong at 4.9%. $11.1 billion for Vietnam at 4.8%. $9.7 billion for Australia at 4.2%. Singapore with $9.4 billion at 4.1%. Malaysia with $8.7 billion at 3.8%. $7.54 billion from Indonesia accounting for 3.3%. Switzerland is worth $7.53 billion at 3.3%. $6 billion for Cambodia at 2.6%. $5.4 billion from India at 2.4%. $5 billion from the Philippines at 2.2%. The Netherlands with $4.3 billion at 1.9%. $4.2 billion from South Korea at 1.8%. Over 3/4 or 76.9% of Thai exports in 2020 will be delivered to the 15 trade partners listed above. Switzerland increased its purchases of Thai products at the fastest rate, with a 38.2% increase between 2019 and 2020. Other increases in Thai export sales come from importers in the United States up by 8.8%, Singapore up 7.2%, and China up 1.8%. Thailand's top 10 exports. The export product groups listed below have the highest dollar value in Thai global shipments in 2020. The percentage share of each export category in terms of total Thai exports is also shown. $37.7 billion for machinery, including computers accounting for 16.4% of total exports. $34.1 billion in electrical machinery and equipment at 14.9%. $24.1 billion for automobiles at 10.5%. $18 billion in gems and precious metals at 7.9%. Rubber and rubber products with $15.5 billion at 6.8%. Plastics and plastic products with $11.9 billion at 5.2%. $6.6 billion in meat and seafood preparations at 2.9%. Mineral fuels, including oil, totaled $6.1 billion at 2.7%. Optical, technical, and medical equipment with $4.7 billion at 2.1%. $4.2 billion for fruits and nuts at 1.8%. Thailand's top 10 exports accounted for 71% of the total value of the country's global shipments. Gems and precious metals were the fastest growing of the top 10 export categories, increasing by 14.9% since 2019, owing to increased international sales of gold. Fruits and nuts came in second for increasing export sales, with a 10.9% increase. Thailand's shipments of rubber as a material and articles made from rubber increased at the third fastest rate, increasing by 1.1%. Mineral fuels, including oil, were the leading decliner among Thailand's top 10 export categories, falling -27.8% year-on-year. Thailand's top 10 imports. Thailand imported $208.8 billion in goods from around the world in 2020, an increase of 6.7% since 2016, but a decrease of -13.1% from 2019 to 2020. Thai imports in 2020 account for 1.1% of total global imports, which cost an estimated $19.085 trillion in 2019. In terms of total imports by value, 75.4% of Thailand's total imports in 2020 were purchased from other Asian countries. European trade partners supplied 10.6% of Thailand's imports, while North America supplied 8%. Oceania, primarily Australia and New Zealand, made up 2.2% of the total. Africa with 2% and Latin America with 1.8%, excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean, had lower percentages. Given Thailand's 69.8 million population, its total of $208.8 billion in 2020 imports equates to roughly $3,000 in annual product demand from every person in the East Asian country. During 2020, product groups have the highest dollar value in Thai global shipments. The percentage share of each export category in terms of total Thai exports is also shown. $37.7 billion for machinery, including computers accounting for 16.4% of total exports. $34.1 billion in electrical machinery and equipment at 14.9%. $24.1 billion for automobiles at 10.5%. $18 billion in gems and precious metals at 7.9%. Rubber and rubber products with $15.5 billion at 6.8%. Plastics and plastic products with $11.9 billion at 5.2%. $6.6 billion in meat or seafood preparations at 2.9%. Mineral fuels, including oil, totaled $6.1 billion at 2.7%. Optical, technical, and medical equipment with $4.7 billion at 2.1%. $4.2 billion for fruits and nuts at 1.8%. Thailand's top 10 exports accounted for 71% of the total value of the country's global shipments. Gems and precious metals were the fastest growing of the top 10 export categories, increasing by 14.9% since 2019, owing to increased international sales of gold. Fruits and nuts came in second for increasing export sales, with a 10.9% increase. Thailand's shipments of rubber as a material and articles made from rubber increased at the third fastest rate, increasing by 1.1%. Mineral fuels, including oil, were the leading decliner among Thailand's top 10 export categories, falling by -27.8% year-on-year. During 2020, the following product groups have the highest dollar value in Thailand's import purchases. The percentage share of each product category in terms of total imports into Thailand is also shown. $43.5 billion in electrical machinery and equipment at 20.8% of total imports. Mineral fuels, including oil, amount to $28.8 billion at 13.8%. $26 billion for machinery, including computers at 12.5%. $9.5 billion for automobiles at 4.6%. $9.3 billion for iron and steel at 4.5%. Plastics and plastic products with $8.6 billion accounting for 4.1%. $8.1 billion in gems and precious metals at 3.9%. $6 billion in iron or steel articles at 2.9%. Optical, technical, and medical equipment with $5.5 billion at 2.6%. $4.1 billion in other chemical goods at 2%. Thailand's top 10 imports account for 71.6% of the total value of its foreign product purchases. Thai purchases of miscellaneous chemical goods went up by 2.3% and electrical machinery and equipment up by 0.1%. Were the only product categories to rise from 2019 to 2020. Interesting facts about Thailand. Bangkok's official ceremonial name is Krungthap Manakan Amonratanakasan Mahantharat Mahadila Pop Naparatratchathanai Buraram Udam Racheni Wetma Sathan Amonfamana Watan Sathat Sakathati Yawasanakam Prasit. Bangkok is the most visited city in the world, with 16 million visitors each year. Thailand is the only Southeast Asian country that has not been colonized by Europeans. Thanks for watching this video. We are open to suggestions. Kindly drop your comments in the comment box and don't forget to subscribe to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. See you in the next video.